Welcome to the CSI Las Vegas Intern Training Program. This course will help you prepare for actual fieldwork by teaching you how to navigate your environment, collect and process evidence, use the lab equipment, question suspects, and get information from your fellow CSIs. To exit the training, press the Start button to bring up the in-game options menu. Then select Exit to Main Menu. This is the CSI Morgue. Al Robbins will always be here to help you conduct the post-mortem examination for any investigation that has a victim. For now, we will use the objects on his table to show you how to examine evidence and how to use your forensic tools. To move closer to the table area, use the left analog stick. To scan the table area, use the right analog stick. To examine potential evidence, look towards any of the objects on the table, and when the message "Investigate Closer" appears, press the X button to get a closer look. While in this view, you can use the right analog stick to look at the item from different angles. Sometimes this will reveal evidence hidden from view. To return to the previous screen, press the triangle button. Back up now. Now let's learn to use the tools. Again, examine one of the pieces of evidence on the table. When you're close enough to use a forensic tool from your kit, a message will appear in the lower part of the screen. Pressing the X button when it is visible will bring up the tool menu. Tools are categorized into either collection or detection tools. For a simple description of each tool, highlight it and read the tip on the upper side of the screen. For a more detailed description of each tool, press the square button. Press the triangle button to back out of the tool menu. When you're close enough to use a forensic tool from your kit, a message will appear in the lower part of the screen. Pressing the X button when it is visible will bring up the tool menu. You can use the gloves in your Collection Tool category tab to collect larger pieces of evidence. Select the gloves, press the X button to equip them, then pick up the item by moving the gloves over it and pressing the X button. Evidence you collect is added to your evidence folder and categorized as either trace, documents, or items. Sometimes evidence has even more evidence on it. In these cases, you can apply your tools directly to the evidence from this view. To inspect the item for more evidence, rotate the object in the viewer by moving the right analog stick. If you suspect there may be more evidence on it, press the circle button to switch to Collect mode. Be sure to check each item thoroughly. Usually, this kind of evidence is hard to see. The descriptions of the evidence will often update throughout the case, so check them regularly. Select an evidence icon and press the X button to see it in the evidence viewer. To review what you know about it, press the square button. You can use the digital camera from your Collection Tool category tab to collect visual evidence, such as bruises or spatter patterns. You can also use it to document important configurations of the crime scene, such as the victim's body position. When investigating a piece of evidence, the message Open Toolkit will appear at the lower part of the screen. Press the X button to bring up your tools. Select the digital camera from the Collection Tools and press the X button to snap the photo. You can use the Fingerprint Powder in the Detection Tool category tab to dust for fingerprints on smooth surfaces, like this one. To dust a piece of evidence for fingerprints, highlight the Fingerprint Powder and press the X button to use it. Then, while repeatedly pressing the X button, move the brush over the surface to fully reveal the print. Once you have revealed the print using powder, you can collect it with the Adhesive Tape tool. Highlight the adhesive tape from your Collection Tools menu and press the X button to equip it. Then place the tape over the fingerprint and press the X button to collect it. You can use the tweezers in your Collection Tool tab to collect most small bits of evidence. Highlight the tweezers and press the X button. Then pick up the item by pressing the X button when directly over it.
You have completed all required tasks in this location.
This is a CSI lab. Here you can perform analyses on your evidence once you prepare it. First, you'll learn to navigate the lab and other environments. From the main view in most rooms, you can use the left analog stick to move around the room. Now let's review the lab equipment. There are several high-tech workstations, including the computer, the comparison microscope, and the assembly table. To display the evidence, press and hold the L1 button, and press the down directional button. The evidence menu will appear. When you've got a piece of evidence you want to process, select the appropriate workstation for investigating it. Then select the desired evidence from the evidence menu. Every workstation has a specific purpose. Next, look towards any of the workstations and press the X button to get a closer look. Select the appropriate menu item and press the X button to further process your newly collected evidence. You can select a piece of evidence and put it into a viewing pane. Then press the X button. Searching the computer for fingerprints, shoe prints, and tire treads will always give you a set of results, but there's no guarantee of a positive match. You'll have to visually compare the collected sample to the results before you draw your conclusion. Try it now.
Very good.
The Evidence Tagging Gameplay Assist feature helps you identify the process state of your evidence. If the evidence icon doesn't have a tag attached, that indicates that there's more to learn about it, while a red tag means the evidence has been completely analyzed. Other Gameplay Assist features can be enabled or disabled from the Game Options menu. To activate the microscope, you can upload an item from the Evidence menu onto one of the panes. You have completed all required tasks in this location. This is the office of Captain Jim Brass, who works with your team. His job is to do all the police procedures you would need, such as get clearance for search warrants or detain suspects to interview. To ask him a question, look towards him. The message "Talk" will appear in the lower part of the screen. Press the X button and a dialog list with possible questions will be shown. Highlight the question and press the X button.
What's up?
Notice your case file has been updated. This means information has been added to your file on a suspect or victim. To view your case file, press and hold the L1 button. Then press the right directional button. To bring up the case file, press and hold the L1 button. Then press the right directional button to review the new information. The case file holds a summary of everything you've learned about victims and suspects. To switch between them, use the up directional button and the down directional button. To toggle between two suspects, use the left directional button and right directional button. To view your evidence trinity, go to Suspects, then press the circle button. The Evidence Trinity is your guide to measuring progress. You must find evidence that links the suspect to the victim, victim to the crime scene, and the crime scene to the suspect. You have now completed your CSI apprentice training. Well done. Feel free to return to this training module at any time to refresh your skills.
You may now return to your investigation. Click the Options button on the bottom right of the screen, then click Main Menu.
Welcome to Vegas, the city without clocks. In the casinos, anyway. Here at CSI, time is something we pay close attention to, because the early hours of a murder investigation are key. As our newest crime scene investigator, your credentials are strong, but the proof is in your performance.
Gil, we've got a situation over... Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Catherine Willows, let me introduce you to our newest CSI. Now, what have you got for us?
Art gallery owner by the Strip with an unexpected exhibit on his showroom floor. A dead body. Possible homicide.
Thanks, Kath. Okay, I'm partnering you with Warwick Brown on this case. He'll help show you the ropes. But your own CSI skills are what we're counting on to crack this case. Catherine, I have lab work to get back to. Would you supervise this case?
You got it, Gil.
And you should head to that art gallery now. Oh, and remember, as G.K. Chesterton once said, the criminal is the creative artist, the detective only the critic.
Hey, I'm CSI Warwick Brown. I'm glad to have some help on this one. We got a dead Vic on the floor, and a live gallery owner waiting in the sidelines. Are you ready? Good. Pay close attention. We're in the art world, and if you don't know how to look at something, you won't understand what it means. The Vic's face down. Spatter pattern on the wall close by indicates blunt force trauma. Take a photo of this. It's always good for future reference. You're going to need an angle that shows the Vic's position in relation to the spatter. Too pretty, too young, and way too dead. Pay close attention to the body. There could be evidence anywhere from head to toe. Whoa. With a rock like that left behind, I doubt we have a robbery. This was personal. The blood flowed from the head wound and naturally pooled around her. That suggests she bled to death right here. I want you to note the blood spatter here. For a visual pattern like this, you'll want to use the digital camera. Then you can get the blood afterwards. Well, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, we got several thousand here telling us what went down. The Vic was hit at least twice. Pattern in her position relative to it tells us so. The first blow probably caused the puncture wound and sent her to the ground. The second blow, while she was down, created the blood spatter. No wallet, cash, or ID. Could this be a glorified mugging? That's no human hair. It's too thick. Some kind of animal, maybe. A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there. A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there.
This is the Nathan Ackerman Fine Arts Studio, and I am Nathan Ackerman. My art, displaying the creativity and, on occasion, the genius of my exhibitors, in a setting that is itself a work of art.
Do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Please do. Consider me your host and ally. Don't hesitate to ask if I can help you resolve this affair quickly and cleanly.
I'll see what we can do. But Mr. Ackerman, there's nothing clean about murder.
I was out briefly on an errand, and to my devastation, I discovered a client, Rachel Maddox, dead on my gallery floor. You must understand that this is a crushing blow. Rachel was an excellent client and a dear friend. I can't imagine who would do such a thing. Perhaps a vagrant or one of these psychopathic killers you read so much about? Rachel was about to be a bride. She had commissioned a painting and a sculpture, both of herself, for her wedding from one of my best artists. Unfortunately, he can also be one of my slowest artists, and Rachel and her fiancé were, well, let's say, fit to be tied that the art pieces, which were due some time ago, were not ready. I had an emergency overnight artwork delivery to ship. I needed to leave by 5 p.m., but Rachel was adamant we had to wait for the artist to come. I really shouldn't have left the two of them alone in the gallery, but they were respectable clients. Anyway, Rachel refused to leave. She said she was staying put just in case. I believe her words were, "Irresponsible ass of an artist does me the supreme favor of showing up." So that's how I came to leave the two of them here, and I had intended to be back before we closed at 6. As it was 6:10 before I returned and found the door wide open and Rachel in this terrible posture. As for her fiancé, he was nowhere to be seen. This is the most ghastly thing that has ever happened at the Nathan Ackerman Fine Arts Studio. What kind of mad beast are we dealing with here? Her fiancé is one Mark Stock, a taciturn fellow with a physique worthy of a Greek sculpture and just about as talkative. Frankly, he has the personality of a doorstop and the artistic taste of a hillbilly. Forgive my candor. The man does have his admirers. He's an ex-baseball player of some kind, from the minor leagues, I believe. As I said, he was here with Rachel when I left, but when I returned, she was alone and dead. Yes, they were having an argument about the art, which was unusual as Mr. Stock had never expressed an opinion from the beginning. Now he was making a stand. He said it was foolish to make such a fuss, and the wedding could easily go on without these silly pieces. But Rachel wasn't having any of that. In Mr. Stock's words, he can sound rather shrill for such a strapping specimen of masculinity. He said Rachel had become unreasonable and out of control over the artist not showing up. And, well, honestly, he had a point. She did have that side to her. Understand, I was very fond of Rachel, but frankly, some of the invective she hurled was directed not just at her fiancé, but, if you can imagine, at me. Fortunately, a truce between the betrothed had come to pass before I had to leave. They were even, shall we say, affectionate. I felt comfortable enough leaving them alone. The storm had blown over, and they were like lovebirds again. To me, Mark Stock would be an enigma if he had a higher IQ. During their tiff, he seemed cold, emotionless. He's one of those passive-aggressive types who occasionally erupt, but in a strange, distant way, unleashing a torrent of abusive language, but delivering that invective in a controlled, cruel manner, seemingly devoid of any feeling. They visit Vegas frequently, weekend getaways, on which they invariably stop by my gallery to do business. Rachel did so love art. What was the question? No, I have no address. They flew in for their wedding, and I have no idea at which hotel, though it will certainly be one of the pricier ones. Patrick Milton. Many of the works in this showroom are in fact his. He's not a critical darling, considered by some too commercial, but the public loves him, and as long as they do, so do I. That was the spark that lit the fuse of the argument between Rachel and Mark. The artist had vowed to be here with the finished painting and sculpture first thing this morning, but he didn't show up at all, not the first time, and Rachel flew into a rage when he did not appear. Heavens, our association goes back years, almost a decade. Quite frankly, he's the star here. I've displayed and sold hundreds of his works. I could have sold more, but he misses so many deadlines. No matter how hard I've tried to breed professionalism into his artist soul, I failed. Still, it does sell. Ridiculous as it might seem, no. I have never once, in all the years of our very successful association, even seen his studio. As I say, he's quirky. Private to the point of reclusiveness. Oh, but of course I have a phone number and a P.O. box. He wants his checks, after all.
That'll be enough to track him. Thanks, Mr. Ackerman.
My fingerprints are all over this gallery, both literally and figuratively. As I said, I intend to cooperate fully. My life is an open book. No, I'm sorry, no.
What happened to full cooperation? Your life an open book?
My life is an open book, that I pledge to you. But I can't allow this door to be opened. I may seem inconsistent, but there are many expensive, even priceless objects dark back there, and I cannot risk damage. Particularly when I see no relevance to your investigation, since it's been locked throughout this entire unfortunate affair. I'm sorry, unless you have a warrant, I just can't allow you to go flinging your fingerprint powder around and spritzing your various sprays. I'm sorry, unless you have a warrant, I just can't allow you to go flinging your fingerprint powder around and spritzing your various sprays.
Hey, do you need a hint? A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there.
Sure, I'll send a team right out. Blunt force trauma, back of the head. Wound's interesting, an irregular shape, somewhat triangular. It's the murder weapon's signature. Here's something you might find interesting. A small piece of foreign fibrous material. Definitely not skull. Well, based on the victim's liver temperature, dead less than 2 hours. Under ideal conditions, the body cools 2 degrees the first hour, then 1 degree after that. So we can put it around 5:30 p.m. Way ahead of you. Taking fingerprints off a victim's body is part of my routine. Here you are. Toxicology tests show high concentrations of diazepam, a benzodiazepine commonly prescribed for anxiety disorders. Well, it's not entirely unusual, but your prospective bride already had a honeymoon. Semen in the vaginal canal. No forced entry, presumably consensual sex. I've got a sample for you. Of course. Glad to have your perspective. I've got nothing new to report on the Vic.
We'll need to check with Brass about this first. Why don't you try the DNA analyzer? Squirrel hair. Commonly used to make paintbrushes. Maybe we should find our reclusive artist. We've done all we can with that item. Those two aren't quite a match. Try to be more sure before you ask me for confirmation. It's all about the details. So, Rachel and her fiancé did kiss and make up tonight. Evidence of sperm shows Mark scored a home run. But look at this. He's got a record with a history of violence. So let's get brass on this bad boy. We've done all we can with that item. We've done all we can with that item.
We've tracked every hotel and resort in Vegas. No small task. But we've got them registered at the Romanov, which is also where their wedding and reception was scheduled. Mark Stock's here to identify his fiancée's body. He says he's eager to help. So let's give him the chance.
We know this is difficult, Mr. Stock. You have our condolences.
You don't have to pretend to feel anything. You didn't know Rachel. Who did this to her?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, sir. Best we can tell, you were the last person to see her alive.
That's not true.
Then who was, Mr. Stock?
Her killer, of course. Look, I was only with Rachel another maybe 15 minutes after Ackerman went off to mail a package or something. I had a previous engagement.
And what was that?
My bachelor party at Orgasma.
You mean the strip joint?
Yeah. You think a bachelor party's going down at a library or maybe a church basement? A guy I used to play ball with recommended him to me. Some favor. As far as I'm concerned, Ackerman's a pretentious sleazeball. His word's as good as the paper it isn't written on, if you get me. And this crap with him and this clown Milton. I don't remember when I was ever so frustrated. Listen, I loved Rachel. I worshipped that woman. But she had a temper like a rabid monkey, and when Ackerman and Milton started jerking us around over that work, man, Rachel went off like a bomb. When that girl got mad, whoa, she'd get in your face and your eyeballs and teeth would melt. She wanted her natural beauty preserved forever, displayed at the reception so her family and friends and the whole damn world could see her towering majesty. She insisted that damn artist would show up, and the owner was off on his errand. He left the keys with us, in case he wasn't back by 6, so we could lock up for him.
He gave you the keys to the gallery?
Yeah, Rachel and me were supposed to lock up at 6. Ackerman headed out with his package, we had our little fling in back, and then, well, I had a bachelor party to go to. Oh, you know, just had our fun with some cheap champagne. I was a cocky kid, a college star who wound up in the minor leagues. I was too damn dumb to know I should just pay my dues like everybody else. And I made a lot of enemies, throwing my weight and my temper around. And I paid the price for it. That incident got me blacklisted from the league and ended any hope of a major league career. And it was my own damn fault, okay? And since then, hey, man, you're looking at a pacifist.
But maybe you had a relapse, snapped under all this wedding pressure.
After that bust, I started seeing a court-appointed shrink, and I am Mr. Chill now. Nothing gets to me, not even Rachel's temper. I look back on how I used to be, and man, I was not cool. I was a world-class ass. That's not me anymore. I loved Rach, and her family was going to set me up in a sporting goods shop that would have given me a whole new lease on life. You think I would have flushed that down the John like I did my baseball career over an argument about some damn artwork? No way, man. No way. I didn't kill her. I loved her. But there is one situation where I might lose it again. Might have, what'd you say? A relapse.
How's that?
When you catch this bastard, if I get my hands on him, no guarantees, man. No guarantees. I was supposed to meet the guys downtown at 6 before we headed for Orgasma and the Bash, so it, hell, must have been, what, 5:15? And I had to put pedal to the metal to make it on time, even so. Of course. We're on the same team, guys. Find who did this. Find him.
It's nice, Pat. It's not what I expected, though. This girl spends thousands on artwork for the wedding, but she opts for the junior suite? People and their priorities. Hey, do you need a hint? That artwork was definitely due the day of the murder. Brass can track down this number for us.
Our friendly neighborhood art dealer opened the gallery 12 years ago, and his record's clean. I found some online reviews saying Ackerman is an overcharging, tasteless fraud. But hey, that's no crime. Even a self-proclaimed genius like Patrick Milton can't escape the electric company. And we got his address from their bill. Here you go.
And if I am?
Las Vegas Crime Lab. Murder investigation. Are you Patrick Milton?
Yes, all right, yes. I'm Patrick Milton, but I don't know anything about a murder, you say?
Yes, sir. We have a few questions. You mind?
You better make yourself clear about how this supposedly involves me, because I'm on a deadline. I'm an artist on commission here, and I have a painting to finish, and I'm trying to grab a window of solitude while these damn construction workers are on break, whatever they're doing. My God, the noise lately here. What? Which commissioner? You don't mean Rachel? You don't mean Rachel Maddox, do you? It's not possible. There's no one on the planet more alive than Rachel. How did it happen?
Blunt force trauma, Mr. Milton. The murder weapon may have been a statue, possibly one of yours. The perched predator is missing from the gallery.
My lord, no. The hours, the months that went into that? Was it stolen? Please tell me it wasn't destroyed. It's one of my most valuable works. Well, right here, of course. I mean, I practically live in this studio. The demands on me as an artist are unceasing. Well, it began cordially enough. She was a big admirer of my work, owned a number of my bird and animal sculptures. She approached me to do these special paintings to be displayed at her wedding reception. And I told her I rarely did the human form. I'm a nature artist, you see, and I have a knack for just slightly idealizing reality. Well, she did have her charming side, you know, and she said, well, I'm one of nature's best works of art. Are you up to capturing me? How could I turn her down? And the money wasn't bad either. And as I say, I would have delivered the painting and sculpture on time. Nick of time, but on time. Right at the reception ballroom. I'm almost done now.
Did you contact Rachel or Ackerman to tell them about this change of plans?
No. And before you condemn me as rude and egocentric, let me just say, you never had a deal with Rachel Maddox. You have no idea the hoops she made me jump through. Sounds unkind now that she's dead, but really, I wanted to keep her waiting. Let her, no other way of saying this, suffer a little, like I had. Let her squirm and stew. But my lord, I would never wish anything like this upon her. In a word, rocky. She was a lovely girl, but rich and spoiled. At the beginning, she posed live for me, but she was so demanding. Kept leaving her modeling pedestal to see what I was doing. Literally look over my shoulder. That, oh hell, that was just maddening. Finally, I just banished her from my studio. I'd already taken photographs of her in the desired pose, and these were sufficient reference. And photos don't talk back, nag, or interfere with the artistic process in any way. Haven't you talked to my patron, the esteemed Nathan Ackerman? He called me and tore me a new one, and I decided the best thing to do was to stay home and get this painting and sculpture completed before Rachel's wedding day. I've been bunkered in here slaving ever since. My intention was to deliver everything tomorrow, right before the wedding. I couldn't see wasting time dealing with Rachel. There was a lot to admire about her, her spirit, her intelligence, but she was frankly the worst-tempered woman I ever met. The most difficult client I ever encountered. I figured the less contact with her, the better. I live and work alone, but you already know I had no reason to leave until this artwork was finished. Haven't you been listening? That's it, and it's going well. I'm almost done with it, but I guess there isn't any hurry now. Pity. Despite her ugly side, Rachel was a beautiful woman and a worthwhile subject. Actually, yes, the Maddox Stocks wedding commission is only part of what I have on my plate. And I've been battling headaches and back problems, what with all this horrendous construction racket going on, starting at 7 a.m., including weekends. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to concentrate? Well, from my point of view, it was entirely unprofessional and even hostile. I deserve better from someone I worked with for so long. You have no concept how much money I've made for Nathan Ackerman. But at least I didn't get caught up in a screaming match. I let the answering machine get it. He wanted me to drop everything and get over to the gallery. It was pretty clear from how frazzled he sounded. He had his own generous serving of Rachel Maddox at her worst.
So you're telling me you didn't drop by to set Ackerman and your client straight?
Hell no. Nathan I could handle. But as overworked as I am, dealing directly with Rachel Maddox, I didn't need that grief. Well, frankly, my intention was to avoid seeing her at all. She'd be at the wedding, and I'd be at the reception ballroom dropping off the art. Call me a coward, but you people never saw Rachel in full flaming bitch mode. I usually use red sable, but I probably have a few squirrel brushes, yeah.
The victim's clothing revealed a paintbrush hair.
And you consider that unusual in an art gallery? You have any idea how many artists work in this town? Hundreds. And you'll find thousands of squirrel hair brushes. Good luck to you. Look, I'll cooperate. I know you have a job to do. But understand that I have a job to do myself. Take what you want, and then please leave me to my work to myself. Art doesn't happen. It's a struggle, and I need my solitude. And it may seem callous, but I consider finishing my artwork a higher priority than finding whoever killed Rachel Maddox. Dig into her life, and you'll find as many people not sorry to see her dead as you will squirrel hair brushes. I guess you can take it.
Message received, 3:30 p.m.
Patrick, are you there? I know you're there. Pick up. Damn it, Patrick. This unprofessionalism has to cease. Get down here with that painting and statue ASAP. And if they're not done, you come deal with Rachel Maddox. She's climbing the walls, not to mention my ass. Take half an hour and put some finishing touches on and bring that blasted art. We need her final payment today to cover up well, damn it, just get down here. This witch is finding new depths of unpleasantness, and we have to calm her down somehow. And Patrick, if you're not here within the hour, my next call will be to my attorney to instruct him to sue your egotistical irresponsible ass. Understood?
Wow. Doesn't sound much like the host and ally we know. Sounds like Ackerman was on the edge. There's more to be done with that item before we can process it. There's more to be done with that item before we can process it. So we got common variety squirrel paintbrush fibers. The two samples are consistent with each other, but not enough for a positive identification.
That phone number was to a ticket theater broker. A clerk there remembers Rachel arguing with her about ticket prices. Once you get enough evidence, I'll hit up a judge.
I wouldn't call it a threat. Patrick was well aware we had a client who was high-strung, and that if that artwork was late, there would be hell to pay. Well, why should I pay it? You know that any business suffers occasional cash flow problems, but really, mentioning I might sue him was my way of lighting a fire under Patrick. He is a fussy perfectionist, and I know he could finish up that painting and even the sculpture by deadline if he just got on with it. Yes. Why? Is that a problem?
Why did you leave this out of the report?
Oh, well, frankly, I forgot all about that.
There were no keys on her body.
Well, I took them, actually. They were my property, after all, and I didn't see how they could be important. Nothing sinister about it, just an oversight, my failing to mention it. Surely you can understand I'm a bit flustered after all of this. Yes, I'm sorry, of course. No, I'm sorry, not unless you have a warrant.
Hey, do you need a hint? I might be able to help you, but just a heads up. It could count against you in your evaluation. Hey, maybe we just got lucky. That blood print says somebody's shoe picked up transfer. Those two aren't quite a match. Try to be more sure before you ask me for confirmation. It's all about the details.
Be my guest.
Those two aren't quite a match. Try to be more sure before you ask me for confirmation. It's all about the details. Do you need a hint?
Suppose there's no way of avoiding this. Why I should want to protect that son of a bitch Ackerman, I'll never know. Call it misguided loyalty, but anyway, financial problems is an understatement. He owes me thousands, and over these past 6 months or so, he's come up with some, shall we say, unconventional ways of reimbursing me when cash wasn't handy. Well, he offered me his second car, a big screen television from his former rec room, any number of nice, but honestly second-hand items. I took a few of these offers just to help out, but Nathan's still into me for, well, let's just say the notion of him suing me is amusing. I know he often accepts cash payments from clients, for reasons you could probably guess, detectives that you are. If not, ask the IRS. Sometimes he's had enough cash in that safe of his to paper those gallery walls.
What safe are you talking about?
Oh, it's in his back office / stock room. Keeps documents, sales records, and so on in there, I believe.
Well, with cash in that safe, maybe you broke in to claim it was yours. And Rachel Maddox just happened to be there, after hours. The very person you wanted to avoid.
Ridiculous! That's slander!
So sue me.
I can't think of anything pertinent that I haven't already shared.
Once you've got enough evidence, I'll hit up a judge.
Here's something you might find interesting. A small piece of foreign fibrous material. Definitely not skull.
This paint is not common. It's probably a mix of multiple paints, which is why the database can't find a match. Rachel's blood on the keys means they were near her when she was attacked. Could the killer have used them too? Rachel's blood is on these keys. Ackerman must have taken them from the crime scene, but was it during or after the crime?
I can't think of anything pertinent that I haven't already shared.
A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there.
I don't have anything for you right now.
Once you get enough evidence, I'll hit up a judge.
The first blow probably caused the puncture wound and sent her to the ground. The second blow, while she was down, created the blood spatter. Wow, the European honeymoon of a lifetime. Not anymore. A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there. A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there. A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there. A good idea to... Hey, do you need a hint? I might be able to help you, but just a heads up. It could count against you in your evaluation. I've updated your case file with a hint. A good idea to be thorough, but nothing's there.